John Cena flipping the script, doing something we thought we would never, ever see, but never say never.
Never say never. Listen, when we floated this idea out a couple weeks ago, and even last week on the pre-show or on our predictions, it was just like they could turn Cena heel. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking they're never going to turn. Like it's his last run. They're never going to turn Cena heel. Never say never, because I feel like every time I say never, that ends up actually happening. It's one of the first times in a long time where I don't know how I feel. And it's going to take some time to like see where we get to. But it's not like a bad, I don't know how I feel. It's just, I am genuinely shocked by what we saw.
So, Andy, this is what me and Chris were used to back when wrestling was good, back in the old days. We know how to deal with these feelings because we've had them before. But so many people who are watching these days, they didn't used to watch whenever there was shock and awe like what we've seen. And an awesome pay-per-view from top to bottom. I mean, it was just excellent.
Yeah, it really was. And we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about the women's Elimination Chamber, Bianca Belair punching her ticket to WrestleMania. We're going to talk about the women's tag match. We're going to talk about the violent Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match. And then, of course, the men's Elimination Chamber is where we're going to park most of our time. John Cena essentially passing out CM Punk, thanks to the assist from Seth Rollins, punches his ticket to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41, but not in the way, Jared, maybe that we thought. You know, a lot of people have floated the idea of Cena turning heel. We even built a whole match around it at WrestleMania 36 with Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse match. Triple H tweeted out, Jared, that this was going to be an industry-changing weekend. And a lot of people online, Jared, you know, we've talked about some questionable decisions before by Triple H and, the lead into pay-per-views and what are we doing? We're confused. Jared, I don't know if this was their plan all along, but it's definitely industry changing.
Dude, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like I was saying, we saw an awesome pay-per-view from top to bottom. During the women's matches, I mean, I was interested. And a lot of times, like you have to take a pee break. I needed to pee. And I couldn't go pee because I actually wanted to see what was happening during these women's matches. That changed the industry. Cena changed the industry. The Rock, I mean, dropping the F word, I don't think they should have, but it changed the industry. There was a lot of stuff that happened tonight that changed the industry, I think. So I don't think old Papa H lied about anything.
I don't think he did either, Andy.
No, I don't think so at all. And, the fun part about all of this is enjoying this in the moment, because we could look back at this moment at WrestleMania and go, man, turning Cena heel was industry changing, but was it for the better? Like, is this actually was that actually the right decision to make? But that's such a fun discussion to have because it's something we weren't expecting. Like we thought it might happen, but we just weren't expecting to see it until it actually happened. And it finally did. And like Jared said, this pay-per-view from the beginning to the end was probably the best top to bottom pay-per-view Triple H has booked so far. In ring wise, storyline wise, I think all of it has fit really well. So I think this is his best pay-per-view. As Booker.
You put this up against, and again, normally when we have this discussion, for those of you who are new around here, by the way, if you are new around here, please make sure that you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps the show a ton. You don't know how much it helps us. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for an email, but it helps us so much. But having said that, I don't even remember where I was going with this. What reminded me?
I think it's his best show he's
so
booked.
Sorry, I got sidetracked.
We're excited.
We are so excited. Oh, this is funny. I want to put this comment up. Wait, I got to put this one up first. Aaron Grisham says WWE said get the F out and brought it right back. More like get the F in. That's hilarious. Love that. Thank you, Aaron. For those of you who are watching live, please make sure you drop your comments, drop your questions. We will get to all of those. Industry changing. Is it for the good? Is it for the bad? I don't know. Like, only time will tell when it comes. Just like you said, Andy. I think we still have plenty of time to turn John Cena back babyface. But again, I don't know if this was the plan. What are your thoughts on that, Jared? Like, do you think this was the plan all along? Like, you look, a lot of people post on Twitter, and Andy, I'll steal your thunder because you said it right before we started recording. When Rock was counting, he said 1, 2, 3. Well, if you flip it around, that's what John Cena does, when he does his thing. So was it connected as far back as Bad Blood? I don't know. Jared, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that they knew the entire plan as far as even what's still coming. I don't think that they've had anything planned out for like over a year, but I do think that they had the groundwork that they were laying. Do I think they know that they were probably going to turn Cena heel? Yes. Do I think that, well, I mean, even like The Rock last year wanted that match with Roman, and you saw how they had to switch things up. So I think there was a plan, but I think they've had to make changes and probably are still going to make changes to whatever that original plan was. But I do think they knew that they were probably going to turn Cena heel and give us wrestling fans what we begged for years.
Yeah, and honestly, like going off that real quick, like this is Cena's last year. So there's no like do-over on this year again. So they've had to have, at least like Jared said, an idea of what the year was going to look like. So maybe this has been, they didn't know how they were going to do it, but this has been in the works for a while. And I mean, we've all kind of talked about it. Like if, let's say we keep Cena babyface and he loses at WrestleMania, where does he go from there?
Sure.
Like, I think this adds a much needed spice to that heel run, to this run of John Cena of, he sold his soul. He got nervous and he sold his soul out to the devil to try to get that title, and maybe it doesn't work. And now he's trying to redeem himself for this year and everything that he's doing. So this opens the door for, I think, a lot more interesting stories than just getting to WrestleMania, but even further past WrestleMania.
Random tidbit that I have to throw in before I forget is that this whole, I'm into the conspiracy stuff, and a lot of it does come true. But my point is, Travis Scott has always been somebody that everybody in the conspiracy world has speculated about him doing these like demonic, satanic type activities and things, and the whole selling your soul thing that comes with Hollywood. It was just very interesting to be talking about, selling one's soul. And then there's Travis Scott, you have Hollywood, Rock, and then you have John Cena, who's also made his way into Hollywood. So did he kind of sell his soul at some point to become the star that he is, figuratively speaking? It's just interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. Speaking of WrestleMania, Brad checking us
there
out.
He is.
Second year WrestleMania. My house is open to you all. Live about 40 minutes from downtown. Brad, we very much appreciate the invite. WrestleMania is going, I mean, like we were concerned as much as 24 hours ago. I would argue as 4 hours ago. We were concerned about where we were going to go with WrestleMania. Jared, you and I spent a lot of time talking on the phone this week. And I said, listen, by this time last year, we knew what WrestleMania was going to be. Like we knew it less than 10 days after the Rumble last year, what WrestleMania was going to be. So it gave us time to get excited. And now we finally find out. And it's Andy. Just have trouble.
That right there sums up how I feel.
Yeah.
Jared, okay, I'll ask you this as the old school guy, because Andy wasn't even born when this happened yet. So I'm going to ask you. And Andy, you can weigh in. Jared, I'm going to ask you this. Let's say that you and I were the ages that we are right now, and we were transported back to July 7th, 1996, Bash at the Beach. And Hulk Hogan turns heel and forms the NWO. Let's say that we have the knowledge and experiences that we do right now, but that is happening in real time. Do you think this is how we would have felt watching that pay-per-view live and watching the infamous red and yellow turn to black?
Exactly how we would feel, man. I mean, you look at John Cena, and he's basically like, well, Andy, Andy's age group and whatever, the younger wrestling fans.
Sure.
He's been kind of their Hulk Hogan, the same way that we used to look at the Hulkster as this, somebody who would never go bad, didn't have a bad bone in his body whenever it came to his wrestling character. And then he just drops the bomb, man, and everybody's stunned. And I think that is exactly what they accomplished with Cena. And there's very few people that you could do that with that have ever existed in the wrestling world or probably ever will, that it would have this kind of impact that Cena turning heel and Hogan turning heel have had on so many of us.
My dad's in the comments real quick before you follow up.
Billy.
The Rock and Cena are not playing their characters. He says they're showing their true personalities in life. They're both arrogant people. You know, Andy, as you weigh in on what Jared just said, because that dad's comment right there is very similar to Hulk Hogan. If you think about, you know, Hogan and maybe the way that a lot of people saw him in his personal life, I'm not saying The Rock and Cena don't do great things for people or aren't great people or whatever, but you have to have some sort of, this is where it applies to Hogan, some level of arrogance and aura about yourself to get to the level that those guys are at.
Yeah. I mean, I think somebody has said it before that like the greatest of all times are a little psychotic. Like they have to be to get to where they're at. They have to be arrogant. They have to, you know, think that they are as good as they are. And that's part of what makes them who they are. I also really like the whole aspect, because I completely agree with Jared that Cena to my generation is very much the Hulk Hogan figure of the guy who not only was like the babyface that would never turn heel, but was also the guy that won a lot of matches and buried a lot of people, and like that whole aspect of it too, to where fans like me were begging for this moment to happen. You know, 2011, heading into that WrestleMania against The Rock then, and some stuff with Punk and everything else. So the fact that we're sitting here and this is happening is mind blowing to me. And again, I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but I do know that this is like that's the whole fun aspect of this character. Is I think a lot of people would argue Cena's been heel for a long time. He's just, maybe this is the first time he's realizing it, because now he's able to do the things that he did before, and it's just looked at in a completely different light, and it's looked at in a completely different way. And so it's added a lot of intrigue to not just a WrestleMania match that we both have talked about, like we've all talked about for a while on this podcast, that Cody versus Cena is exciting because it's something we wanted to see, but that's about it. Like there's no story going into it. Now they've completely flipped it to where I'm really not I don't know what to expect from that match, but it's at the top of my list of what I want to see now.
And two, you pointed this out before we started recording, Andy, as well. What Cena did at the end of the night calls back to him taking advantage of Seth Rollins, helping him to win the match. All of that ties together. You can draw that in and be like, you know, babyface Cena would not have done that.
Right.
So that's absolutely a great point. This is a great comment from Aaron here that I want to throw up. Aaron was watching Chamber with my younger brother and parents. They haven't watched wrestling in years. All jumped up just like we saw someone murder someone on live TV. This is this generation's third man. I ran laps around the house. Well, Andy can confirm what I did at my house. I was sitting down and the low blow happened, and I literally dropped to all fours on the ground. I have no idea what happened. It's like the breath got sucked out of me, and I literally am just watching like this with my hands on my head. Jared, what was your reaction as soon as it happened? What was your reaction?
Dude, so it's kind of weird. Like the whole night, there were spots that were making me do this. I was watching it with my wife. You know, she's laying on the couch, and I'm sure she probably got a lot of humor watching me like jump up and down and, you know, do this a lot. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I was kind of like, I was just sitting there staring at the TV because I knew one of two things was going to happen. One of these men were going to turn heel. I just didn't know which one. So I was kind of waiting on it. And as soon as it happened, I was kind of just more like, and I didn't make a sound. I mean, it was just either one of them that had turned heel would have had that effect on me. I knew something was coming, I just didn't know which one it was going to come from.
And honestly, having Cena turn on Cody of all people makes the most sense. Because in Cody's mind, the one person that would never turn heel because he never has, and the one person that would understand him telling The Rock to go whatever him like what that he did, like of course he was going to do that with Cena in the ring because Cena's going to have his back because it's Cena. Like that's the thing Cena does.
They had just hugged. They said we're going to WrestleMania together.
And like Cena just hugged Punk in the ring and like all this other stuff. And then just that moment, it's one of the first times like in a long time that I've done the Surrender Cobra. Just hands on the back of my head like this. Like what am I actually watching right now? What am I witnessing? This is history, and I know it's history, but what is happening?
Aaron says, for a split second, I thought Cody and Cena would stay face and Rock would force a triple threat for the title. Here's what I thought, Jared. And I said this to Andy a gajillion times while this whole thing was happening. Rock comes out. Rock's wearing the same style of pants that he wore at WrestleMania before he took them off and had his trunks underneath. And if you look, it looked like he had his boots on as well. So I thought Rock was either going to just say, okay, we're having a match, and then drop Cena, and he was going to beat him, and that's how Rock gets in the main event. Or Rock was going to drop Cody, take the belt, and Rock was going to be champion, no matter if Cena was involved or not. So, I mean, we were getting... Go ahead.
I didn't really notice that much with The Rock, but what I did notice, speaking of colors and clothing and all that, foreshadowing, is that when Cody came out, he was decked out in so much dark color. And I think they did that on purpose to make you think, it's what I thought. I thought, oh no, he's turning heel. And I think they did that on purpose, man. I mean, they're using so much strategy that like Hollywood uses in telling the story. And you even see at the end where they have the credits like WCW used to do back in the day. It's just, I think this is an evolution. Some people's heads are popping off because of how much wrestling is changing, but whether we like it or not, folks, it's changing. And it's more of they're telling a story, and as soon as the story's over, as soon as the filming is done, they do their real personality and flip back to how they really are in real life. And we're getting to see those things. So
Aaron said, Jared, the Supreme Court Justice nails it again. And Andy, you brought this up, and Jared, you talk about
Andy.
You talk about Cody wearing the dark colors as we get ready to talk about the women's elimination chamber. You mentioned it. Bianca and Naomi both came out wearing white. Jade Cargill came out in her ring gear, which was black.
Yeah. Well, even look at Cena. Cena was in light baby blue with the white sneakers, which he never wears white sneakers. And like, just
I love those
subtleties though of, we're expecting the person that comes out in dark or in black is going to be the bad guy in the situation. When they wear white, they're trying to make themselves look like the good guys or whatever.
Yep.
And just completely playing our minds against us. And it worked.
I can't wait to see what his ring gear looks like now.
No more jorts.
What's he going to do now?
No jorts.
Oh my goodness.
Or dark jorts. Black jorts.
Oh.
Or he could wear the jorts, but always wear like dark shoes. Because didn't he usually wear like a white version of some shoe? Not all white, but
yeah.
Yep.
It'll be interesting.
All right. As we there's so much to unpack here. We could literally talk about this one thing for an hour tonight. But as we sort of wrap up this portion of the conversation, Jared, let it sink in. It's heel John Cena versus babyface Cody Rhodes, a generational passing of the torch match to main event WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. And I have preached it till the cows come home.
I wish I was there. We could have been there, Chris.
We chose the Rumble instead. Sorry. So I have preached it till the cows come home that I did not want a babyface Cena versus babyface Cody in Cena's last WrestleMania. It just did nothing for me. But now, Jared, let it sink in. We know who's on what side, and we know The Rock's going to play some sort of role in all of this. I'm not asking you to fantasy book like what this looks like and how you would do it, but just, man, we still have 4.5, 5 weeks, 6 weeks even,
I think so,
till WrestleMania. There's a lot to do between now and then, and John Cena has only used up 3 of his like 35 dates. So we've got all the time in the world to have Cena on the show. What do you think this outlook looks like as we progress towards WrestleMania?
The only thing that's like going off in my head as you're saying all that is that I think that it all ends with at some point it's Cena probably against Cody. I don't know if it's at WrestleMania or later, because I almost think that Cena will win the title at Mania, and then we'll have to go back to Cody chasing, and he'll beat, Cody will beat him again at some point, is what I'm thinking. But the way I see it ending, which is the only thing I can really see right now, is that in the end, Cena has the chance to figuratively pull the trigger, and that smile comes on his face, and he lets the good win over evil. That's what I see. I think that's how he goes out. He goes out as a face. But other than that, dude, how we get there, I have no clue.
I don't either.
Not one.
I mean, I think that's a good call. It's like The Rock gives Cena an ultimatum in the match, and like Cena can't pull the trigger or whatever. Because let's be honest, guys, like we're celebrating John Cena's final year in the WWE. We have to turn him back babyface at some point. Whether they do it at WrestleMania or what have you, like they have to do it at some point. But man, like, what are you thinking in like the outlook over the next 6 weeks?
I honestly, like, I think they're gonna play into the Cena Hill character, and I don't know what that. Honestly, like, I can't even wrap my head around what that's going to look like. Like I don't know if it's going to be like a Hollywood Cena, kind of like Hogan was, or if he's going to try to be like a darker character. Like I honestly have no idea what to expect, but I do think, as of right now, I don't think he wins the title at Mania. I think he will chase most of the year, because he's going to realize, and that's like when he turns is when he wins. When he turns back to being a babyface is when he wins, because he's going to realize in the chase, I got nervous and I sold my soul, and I went away from the one thing I've always been, and that's Mr. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. And I've lost all that. And I don't think he wins the title until he makes that jump. And maybe he's not even Cody that he beats. Maybe it's, Gunther or Jey Uso, or, a heel CM Punk as world heavyweight champion, because I can dream too. I think that's like a real possibility of Cena finally going back to the good side, kind of like we mentioned. Maybe The Rock is like, this is your last chance. Take this, hit him with it, and then he hits The Rock with it, and we kind of go from there. But again, how we get to all of this, I have no idea what the next couple weeks or the next couple months are going to look like. But I do know it's going to be just crazy every single time.
As Sam Roberts says, just let them cook. Let Triple H do his thing. Again,
do you think he already knows how this is going to end, or do you think that like so they'll probably will still make some twists and turns they haven't planned for, but you think they ultimately know how it's going to end right now?
I don't think they make a turn this monumental and not know how it's going to end. Like, I think they absolutely, yes, Jared, they're open to some twists and turns or whatever, but turning the ultimate babyface heel, they absolutely know how they're turning it back around and all and all that kind of stuff. I firmly believe that. But man, I'm not going to give Rock all the credit. So if it sounds like I am, please don't take it that way. But Rock was able to help flip it on its head last year. Rock has been able to help flip it on its head this year. Cena being a huge part of that as well. But Andy, we both anticipated that Roman Reigns would somehow be involved in all this, and he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, which I think that means we're getting that triple threat at Mania with him, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Of it being Seth, Punk, and Roman. I honestly, I thought he might come out tonight, even before Cena turned heel. I thought there's a chance Roman does come out, and maybe
I thought, especially when Cena turned, that Roman was going to come save Cody.
That's what I was waiting on.
Or just come out and be like, what are you, like, to The Rock, what are you doing? Like, what is going on right now? But yeah, I'm honestly shocked he didn't show up. And it's weird to me that going into WrestleMania this year, we don't really know what the guy who held the title longer than anybody in the last decade, we have no idea what he's doing at WrestleMania. And we're this close to WrestleMania.
We said the same thing about Cody up until tonight. Now we have.
But he was the champion, so you knew he was going to have a big spot at Mania. With Roman, it's like he doesn't have a title, so you know he's going to be at Mania. But what does that look like?
Do you think that they could even be setting up still for Roman versus Rock this year? We got 6 weeks.
Possible.
Yeah, we got 6 weeks. You're exactly right, Jared. We got
possible.
6 weeks.
And I think doing it like having Cena be Rock's guy is how they're going to get out of giving us Cody Rock.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think we're getting a Cody versus Rock singles match now.
For sure. And we might end up with the tag match down the road. I think Sam Roberts pitched this on his show last week. Cody and Roman versus Rock and Cena at some point. You know, that's a SummerSlam is 2 nights this year. That can headline one of the nights very, very easily. You talk about one of the most star-studded tag matches you'll ever see.
I mean, if we can do Vince McMahon when Vince was like 60 or whatever, 65, if we can do him versus Stone Cold and get away with it and people loved it, I don't care what kind of condition The Rock is in. In my mind, he has to go down to Cody in a match. I don't care how much it sucks, how great it is.
Yeah.
I just feel like at some point to win this ultimately, which I think he'll need Cena's help, Cody has to beat The Rock. Simple as that.
Yeah, he has to take him down. I mean, like Rock said, this is a feud that we don't even have to be in the ring with. Oh, yes, we do, though. Because everything goes to the ring.
Well,
everything leads to the ring.
Going back to that, I mean, we're just like unlayering this onion that is this moment. What was Cena's involvement in the match last year at WrestleMania when he came out to help Cody? Now we're like, now he's turned on Cody and telling this whole. So there's so many just different routes that they can run with this.
Let's piggyback on that real quick because look at the last year or so or whatever it's been when Cody's been the champion, especially when he aligned himself with Roman Reigns. Look how many people that he ticked off. Look how many friends that he lost. What's this now going to do to Cena?
Yeah.
If Cena tries to turn babyface again, Jared, what's this going to do to Cena?
Yeah.
When he tries to make amends and like, no. You sold your soul to the final boss.
Yeah.
That's why I think that the only way this ends, again, I'm just saying that a lot, but the only way that this ends is Cena at the end, whenever he's ready to retire, and maybe it's a retirement match. He gives a nod and a wink, and he lays down and takes the pin or allows somebody to beat him, and that's it. I don't think you have Cena coming back and trying to make amends. I don't think that that's part of this story. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
I think regardless of how that last match ends, if he's a babyface or if he's a heel or whatever, like it's standing ovation all the way around. Like everybody's just gonna appreciate what he's doing. I think even at WrestleMania, if he's a heel all the way, if he doesn't turn babyface at WrestleMania, like it's going to be the same thing. We're going to be sending off Cena at WrestleMania just like we did HBK in 2010 and just like we did Ric Flair in 2008 and all that kind of stuff.
Well, how mind-boggling is it that all this time they've been trying to get everybody to cheer Cena? They finally start cheering him and they turn him heel.
Yeah, I know. But he got a pop when he low blowed Cody. There was an audible like, we're doing this.
It was something.
We're actually doing this.
Yep.
And you talked about it. What is this going to do to Cena? I think this is ultimately also playing into that eventual heel turn from Cody.
Oh, yeah.
When we get that Homelander Cody of everybody that he knows has slowly started to turn on him.
Yep.
When Randy eventually turns on Cody, that might be like the final straw that breaks the camel's back. When that happens, then he just becomes this evil, vindictive dude that we've all been kind of waiting to see.